Welcome back to the final episode of F1 2020 Driver Career Season 2 and our final race for Alfa Romeo. We're going to get straight into qualifying for the final time in Brazil. Kind of a sad occasion, really. I mean, I've had quite a good time at Alfa Romeo, but I think it's definitely time to move on. And we'll talk about teams a bit later. But for now, let's focus on the final round of the season. As you just saw, are my first and only qualifying attempt, because as you'll see in a second, the weather is going to get very, 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 well, damp. Yep. I mean, as you can see, this is the start of my second attempt, if you want to call it that, and we were up on our time-ish throughout the first lap. As you can see, it's raining by the end. And as you can see in the top right, our delta is way off, so I was going to back off. No second attempt for qualifying, but no matter, we're going to get straight into the comment competition from last episode, and the challenge was to make a clickbait title for last week's episode. In third place we have Vettel 5 Racing with big contact made in turn 1. That's a very classic clickbait title with question marks. Second place Fridge Fernando 14 with overtaking Connor on Gone Sexual. And the winner is Frank 12 with F1 Pause Challenge featuring Alex Albon's career. That's absolutely brutal. So well done for the 3 points there, and we'll have a look at the standings. And Frank 12 takes the lead. It was a no-show from Cubsy Kazi last episode, so maybe he can claw some points back. But let's get straight into the race.
Formula One returns to Sao Paulo once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Brazilian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his third championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Albon, Charles Leclerc and Sainz, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Vettel and Esteban Ocon, the rookie Perez, Kimi Raikkonen and Stroll, Norris, Magnussen, Daniel Kvyat and Nicholas Latifi. Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So for the final time this season and the final time for Alfa Romeo, it's going to be 5 red lights for the start of the finale of Season 2 in Brazil. And it's lights out and away we go, and we get a really good start compared to Ocon and Vettel around us, and we're going to try and go around the outside of Ferrari coming into turn 1, brake a bit earlier because we know the AI are probably going to brake check us if we brake at the normal braking point, and we're going to try and slot ahead of Sebastian Vettel as we try and squeeze him out coming out of turn 3 and onto this mini straight here, and we're up into P10 for now, up to the points as our teammate has dropped all the way backwards after he qualified quite near us for once. And we're going to slot into P10 for the time being, as Sebastian Vettel is still all over the back of us for what might be his last race, because I think I saw an email before the race stating that he might have announced his retirement. I'm not sure though, so we're going to try and have a look down the inside of the Alpine of Daniel Ricciardo, but there's no room down there, as Vettel's now having a look down our inside, and he's going to come alongside us and try and retake P10. So we're going to try and keep this inside line, outbrake him. But he's still there, so we're going to have to get better traction out of the corner, and we do, and we retain P10 for now. And we're going to cut on to the end of lap 1. We were nearly at the end of lap 1 anyway. Didn't really need that cut, but anyway, we're going to go side by side with the Alpine of Daniel Ricciardo, coming onto the second lap now, and we're going to try and work our way up into P2. We're going to try and outbrake him, but you can't really outbrake Daniel Ricciardo. That's basically impossible, and he keeps P9, but he has a bit of a compromised exit coming out of turn 3, and we're going to have to try and get him with ERS and Rich Mix coming down this mini straight. Are we going to get him down the inside into turn 4? Yes, we will. He does give up a bit of fight, but obviously that's Daniel Ricciardo, of course he's going to. And we're up into the second points positions as we're coming onto the end of lap 3 now. And not much, we go purple in sector 3 for some reason. Sorry, as I was saying, not much action happening in this first half, but don't worry, there is still more to come. So I think we're just going to take you through all the different laps now. We're behind Verstappen. We seem to catch up with the cars ahead of us in Sector 3. We're not very fast in Sector 2. That's where we lose out compared to the AI, especially the Red Bull ahead of us. But Verstappen, to be fair to him, is being held up by Ocon and the clerk ahead of him. so he's not showing his true pace. I think that's basically sums up Verstappen's season in this career mode save. As Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap, coming on to lap 5 now, and as I said, we're going to keep scrolling through the laps as we get really close to the back of the Red Bull into the first corner, and but we're not anywhere near it. Jeff suggests we extend our stint, and I think that was a good idea, because I had a look at my tyre wear, and it's good, and softs are obviously faster than mediums. Yellow flag behind us, and I believe it's Sebastian Vettel in his Ferrari with a mechanical failure. Once again, I want to apologise. The replay cams are still not working. I think I'm going to have to reset my game for this one. So apologies for that, so you won't see all those nice graphics that I usually make. But anyway, coming on to lap 9, Verstappen's got past Ocon, and now we're trying to attempt to get past him as Verstappen actually pulls into the pits there. With some people pitting earlier than we do, as we get really close to the back of the Alpine of Esteban Ocon, as we seem to have much better race pace than the Frenchman. But we still remain in P6, and the Alpine behind us haven't pitted either. So I think the front runners, barring the Mercedes and Albon, as you can see on the mini up ahead, have decided to pit early, and we're going to keep going. I think for a couple more laps as Charles Leclerc comes into the pit lane ahead of us, but Ocon and ourselves are still staying out, and we're going to try and go down the inside of Ocon. There was a little bit of room. That was nearly a disaster, nearly a big crash on the final race of the season, but we get up into number 2 for now. Obviously that's not P2 really, because people have pitted behind us, and now the undercut is starting to get a bit more powerful for people behind us, so we're probably going to have to think about pitting probably a lap earlier than Jeff suggested, because we're going to be hang out to dry at this rate. And as you can see, I've called to come into the pit lane, and I believe Ocon is following us in as well. So our first pit stop onto the medium tyres is commencing now, and Perez takes the lead, but Bottas is swiftly going to catch him up probably. Yeah, and also, I don't know if you could hear Jeff on the radio just then, but he also said Kimi came into the pit, so I think I've messed up the team strategy by a late call there. So I think Kimi's going to get held up a little bit as Ocon jumps us in the pit lane. We never catch a break in the pit lane when we pit with other people, always big traffic. And as you can see, I get a bit annoyed and outbrake myself out of the pit lane. It's one of the most technical pit lane exits that you've got to watch out for on this game. So you don't want to get front wing damage immediately after coming out of the pits, but we don't. But we're a little bit behind Ocon, and Ricciardo has jumped us as well, so that's a bit annoying. But no matter, we had much better pace than both the Alpines earlier, so we're going to try and catch them up, and we do as we get DRS. Coming on to lap 14 now, and closing up to the back of Esteban Ocon. Once again, we're going to have to try and get another clean overtake on him. As before, and I think we're going to get one here onto the start-finish straight. Not really a straight, is it? It's more of a bend. DRS open, ERS and rich mix. We don't really care about the engine because it's the last race, and we're going to go the other side of Esteban Ocon this time. Try and hang it around the outside of him, coming into turn 1, but he's still there. We're going to give him enough room, but we're going to try and squeeze him out as much as possible. Coming into turn 2 and then turn 3, and we're up back into P9. So we're going to have to chase after the Australian now in the other Alpine, and we slowly gain in the laps following. Coming on to lap 15 now. We're not going to get close enough on this occasion, I do believe, but we are going to get quite close, as we're going to break a bit earlier, because we've been getting too close to the back of cars coming into turn 1 at the moment, and we could get some front wing damage, which is not what we want. But yeah, this race, not as exciting as the races we had so far this season, but it's not bad at all. And we're in a more realistic position. I mean, oh my goodness, I was saying we shouldn't get close to the back of the cars, but we've just done it there. Anyways, coming on to the penultimate lap now, and we're going to try and get Ricciardo into turn 1. That seems to be a very preferable overtaking spot. We're going to have a look, but I don't think it's worth the risk, especially since you can't really dive bomb Daniel Ricciardo, as I've mentioned before. I'm not a fanboy, I swear. We're going to have DRS on him, though, coming down this straight, as he's not close enough to Leclerc to defend, and we're going to go round the outside and try and hang it round the outside into turn 4, and we've just got the move done, but he's still there. We've got to give him space, because his front nose is right where our rear tyre is, and closing the door on him will result in a spin, and we're going to take to the curb there a little bit, quite aggressively actually, and Daniel Ricciardo keeps P8 for now. We try and have a look at them down the inside, but there's not enough space, and Daniel Ricciardo, brilliant defending from him. And we're still in P9 with 1.5 laps to go, so we've got to make our move at some point. And I believe as we cut to the end of lap 17, coming onto the final lap, we've got DRS once again, and there's nothing much he can do. And we had to think about doing the dummy, but we're going to go round the outside, and we've gone clean straight past him, but he's going to go late on the brakes again, defending magnificently Daniel Ricciardo, but he has to back out as we're still there, and we give him a bit of a squeeze on exit, and we're up into P8 on the final lap, and he tries to get us with DRS, but I don't think he got it because we were before the detection zone. Sorry, we were behind before the detection zone, so we keep P8, and we're coming on to the final lap now, and Valtteri Bottas wins another Grand Prix, cementing his championship even further, even though he's already won it. But we're going to come across the line for our final race for Alfa Romeo in P8. Another points finish, more points on the board for the team, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And we continue the trend of points finishes recently. We've had a lot of points. We've had 2 P5s in the last 2 races, and a P8 to finish it all off as Daniel Kvyat gets the driver of the day, and Valtteri Bottas wins yet another Grand Prix. So yeah, that's the end of that then. Pretty abrupt, nothing special to round off the season there. But that result's not going to hurt our claim at all, and hopefully it gives us a better negotiation position in the contracts coming up in a second. We'll get to that, don't worry. Final results here. Another 1-2 for Mercedes. Pierre Gasly getting another podium for him, and I would do a team radio thing, but again, as I said, no replay cams. Very disappointing, but even so, Carlos Sainz getting P4 as well, and I think that means something for the Drivers' Championship, which will come up in just a second, as well as Constructors. Oh, sorry, this is the final standings of the season. Let's have a look then. Mercedes obviously champions 2 races ago, and no one has gained positions in the final round, and Alfa Romeo finish off in 8th place. And on the Drivers' Championship side, we move down to 10th place as Carlos gets a very good result, moving him up to 9th. And Pierre Gasly finishes in 4th place ahead of Alex Albon. Sorry. So does that mean he might be getting the new Red Bull seat? All remains to be seen. But yeah, pretty solid standings there. Well, I'm definitely feeling a little bit sad now. That's kind of it, as we're going to have a look. Well, I think we just glanced past that, but I was going to have a look at the R&D, but we're going to look at the standings once again. You've already seen that, and you can see the second half. We finished ahead of Lance Stroll, Sebastian Vettel, the likes of those people. But as you can see, coming up in the calendar on the left-hand side, the contract renewal, the all-important contract renewal stage, and this is where we're going to negotiate with all the different kinds of teams, as Emma tells us about a rivalry, but we don't really care about that. So the 2 options to approach other teams or renegotiate. Oh my bad, I can't speak English. With the current team, and as pointed out by T-Verb, whose comment didn't show up on the last video for some reason, but it did come in my notifications. He said he loved the video, so thanks for that. But he also asked, are we staying at Alfa Romeo or are we moving on? Now, some of you who have been subscribed for the first half of the season will know I had a Google form, and I have the results right here, and it was quite close when I was collecting responses. But Alfa Romeo, not Alfa Romeo, what am I on about? Aston Martin wins 50% of the vote, 7 of you wanting us to go there next season. But as you can see, if we don't get that team, quite a lot of you wanted Alpine instead of the other options for our second choice. So that will be our approach. So we'll obviously approach Racing Point, which will mod to become Aston Martin, and people liked the modded livery, so we'll keep that. Anyway, so that's it for Season 2. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining me. Please consider subscribing. I've been Hydrogen014. Thank you for watching this season, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.